Dear MK,
Can you help me?
oh my god, you'll never believe what happened.
I need advice.
Thank you, MK.
Welcome to the Dear MK podcast.
Okay.
All right, we're here to learn, heal, and connect. I feel like we should welcome. We're survivors.
Been abused? We have.
No, we need to address. Okay, we have to start. Okay. All right, welcome back to season 2
Of Dear MK.
Woo! I'm so excited. We've been on Spotify for
A year. Over a year.
Yeah, over a year. And we want to expand. And so now we're on Apple and YouTube. So you can watch, you can listen, whatever. You can get us everywhere now.
Wherever you want us, you can have.
Okay, I want to talk about like why we're actually here, why we do this, because honestly, like that's the passion behind it. Like that's what makes me so excited to do this. We're both survivors
Of domestic abuse.
dating violence. So that's fun about us. We
Super interesting. My favorite fun fact to share during icebreakers.
Yeah, we laugh a lot
All the time.
about talking about our abuse, and just like we make light of the darkness in it. And I think unless you are a survivor or really close to one, it can be super hard to understand that. But just know, if you're just starting listening and we're like giggling or laughing at each other, it is not out of disrespect
Not
or
at all.
anything of the sort. That's just kind of how we are. Also, because it's season 2, we do know so much
About each other.
Yeah. So if we're just like looking disinterested or laughing, it's like, I can't wait for you to say the next part.
You know what's coming from the other person.
Yeah, like that's basically what it is. I think like obviously there are some things we'll be like, oh, I didn't even remember. Like I haven't told you this, but I want you to know that. And also that we talk about more than just dating violence and sexual assault, but that's like the core.
Yeah, that's kind of what brought us together, what put us on the platform doing what we're doing, saying, hey, we need to start something where we're having these conversations. And then if they go elsewhere, they go elsewhere. I mean, we're known to expand a little.
Yeah. The more you talk about it, the more it helps others talk about their experiences. And that's the foundation of this, because I haven't seen any other platforms that do this. Of course, there's other podcasts that will have a survivor on, and that's just like one episode of whatever they talk about, and it's like health and lifestyle or relationships or whatever. But we want to talk about, and we do talk about, like the nitty gritty details of being in these relationships and like the taboo aspects of it.
I was just going to say, a lot of things that are branded as taboo. I mean, no one's creating a platform based on the fact that they're having uncomfortable conversations, but making them comfortable, and that's exactly what we're here to do.
Yeah, it's a safe, empowering space, and we will have other survivors on, and we have already. And sometimes, like next week, we have an
insane, like by far the best episode we've done. We both agreed on that.
It was jaw-dropping kind of story from a survivor, and she was so brave to share it, but she doesn't want to be seen on, like, she doesn't want her face out there, which is so understandable. And we will honor that for anyone coming on. So sometimes you might just have the audio, or you might just see us on here and they're in the corner because they don't want to be seen. Sometimes they will show their faces. We have had a couple people on that were totally fine sharing who they are, and that was awesome. So we'll definitely have different stories on that cover. We've had all, at this point, we'll have all aspects, all types of abuse that we've talked about on here. Because we haven't experienced everything, and also everyone's story with different aspects are going to be different.
Exactly. For anyone who's listening, when Maya's talking about, having these guests and seeing these people, this is our first kind of trial run of Dear MK Uncut on YouTube. So you get to see us, watch us. I know we have a lot of people, or I guess all of our audience right now is strictly listening. So that's what she's talking about for the future.
Yeah, so I just want to, I guess, say, because next week people will be on here.
Yeah.
And we just want it to be like a safe space where others can learn and also heal and grow with us. We are, far out in our healing journeys at this point. The relationships that we were in are just further out, which is a good thing in the sense of like we can talk about all of our experiences, how we got through it, but also we're not in the like the like blues where we can't get out of bed kind of thing, and like be able to talk like in the moment of it.
Yeah, and we do our best to recognize everyone in those different stages. I mean, when we started, Maya said, we're going to be making jokes, it's lighthearted, but that's because we've both gone through all of those phases in the complete process of healing and reflecting, and we've had the opportunity to have such an incredible platform to talk to each other, and I think heal so much from that, even when we probably were in good places before we met. So we're understanding that everyone's going to get there, and we obviously can reflect on those times that we did have. We did have the days, the weeks, the months where we couldn't get out of bed, couldn't do anything. And I think being here and being happy and excited is just a good reminder that no matter where you are in that journey, this is where it can lead. Like, you can end up just like this, and we sit here and we have our casual conversation about this stuff, and, people whose names you feel like you could never say or faces you couldn't even picture, like, it doesn't stay that way forever.
Right. And also we like to talk about other people's relationships on TV. I'm a reality TV enthusiast. I literally love Bravo more than like anything. Love Island for
Love
you.
Island. Can I share a hot take?
Yeah.
My roommates watched the first episode of The Bachelor last night. I was like, I don't like this.
I'm not watching it right now.
It's
not the same after Love Island.
No, but a bunch of women pining after one man. I was like, do you want me to be sick?
It's gross.
Love Island, you put a bunch of hot people in one place, shit's bound to happen. Mm-hmm. But The Bachelor, it's like, I don't want to sign up to not have a choice and to just be told this man is handsome and perfect and I should want him.
No, literally. And the only good thing about watching it from that point of view, I guess, is like, yeah, you see the drama, like there's a ton of drama just because they're all fighting, but I'm like, girls, you're all gorgeous, like just go find another man's. But then I love watching when all the men are fighting for the same
exactly
so I'm like a hypocrite on that one.
We try to be as unbiased as we can, but
as we can, yeah.
Sometimes
we'll say, whatever comments about men, but we love men.
We love them, and we each have good ones.
We do have good ones.
And we like to talk about them, too. I mean, we're not just all stupid, horrible shit that's happened to us. We love to reflect on our healthy relationships and how much we've been able to grow in those and our friendships, and it's like, I mean, I think we're great people to be in relationships in.
Oh, I think so,
or in relationships with.
Oh, yeah, no, we've been through it all. We come with lots of life experience.
We know everything.
We know our triggers.
Yes. We know.
We come with triggers, but we know what they are. Yeah, so we talk about reality TV. The only time we're talking about politics is if there's like a new regulation or law change or something that directly affects survivors or like Title IX, college students, things like that. We're just talking about it if it's relevant and or like the women are rallying.
Yeah, we're not here for a political breakdown, but I think we know who we're talking to at this point, and if the ladies need to know, they need to know.
They need to know. Well, that's the thing. We can't talk about all of this stuff and not address what's happening in the world. Like, that's just not realistic.
We're going to keep ourselves informed, keep it educational. Like, we're not in a place to say we know everything if we're not sharing where we learn things.
Right. And speaking of knowing everything, I would like to say, I feel like it's cool. Like, we obviously can talk about this stuff because we've been in the situations, but we do have those extra layers of knowledge, which is something cool about us that I would want to share. So I have my own business. MK Prevention Services. That's how this whole thing started, which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But that educates on and helps prevent teen dating violence, sexual assault in high schools and colleges. And then my background was psychology, creative arts therapy, and I'm 1 year out from becoming a therapist. So we definitely have like other knowledge and skills that come into this as well, which is really cool for like me reflecting of like, damn, I wish I knew this, and now I want you to know this to have your best healing journey.
I don't know what my other qualifications are. I'm working
What
on
do you
them.
mean? But you're working. Like, you worked, obviously.
I worked at a nonprofit for, victims of domestic violence, and I'm working towards a degree. So.
Well, you are. I feel like
Yeah.
everything you do, though, and like what you want to do, like, can I say?
Please.
Your gender studies.
Yeah.
We're all about the woman.
We are.
But I feel like you're very knowledgeable in that, and like your experiences with
Thank
me
you.
and hearing like all the research that we do a ton of research.
Yeah.
So it's not just us saying like, oh, hey, like we did this and this is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
We're like, here's what I did and didn't do, and like ways you can improve or do different things. Like everyone's healing journey is unique, and that's something we are very transparent about.
Yeah.
I would say.
I agree.
I can't think of anything else we talk about. We talk about reality TV. We talk about our dating life.
We talk about us. I think we're super interested.
We do. We just talk about us. I love to bring in, especially like if you go to Spotify and Apple, it's now on. All of our episodes are on there, and we do different educational topics too. Like we'll be like, okay, well, you experienced this trauma, but what does it actually look like in your body? What does that look like in your brain?
Yeah.
We love talking about mental health.
Yeah, we're looking to do another mental health episode specifically on OCD.
Yes.
Coming soon, because that's something that we both definitely struggle from. That's something that for me was a result of trauma. So we both definitely know a lot and have done a lot of external research on that. I think misconceptions was one of my favorite
Are we
episodes.
saying that wrong?
Misconceptions. It was misconceptions, but the
misconception. I'm not saying it right.
When you look at it, it makes sense. Sex is big in the middle.
Busting sex myths.
Yes.
That was iconic.
That was really great. That was the one I'd refer anyone to go back to. Maybe not like my parents.
And
but
periods, like menstrual cycle, I cycle sync. So for anyone that doesn't know what that is, you'll find out.
Just like women's mental and physical health is really
literally
just the focus, and all the issues and the patterns that affect us socially are what we're looking to deconstruct and say like, okay, we need a take on this. This needs to be general knowledge. Like young girls need to learn these things, like relationships, body image, like the way women are perceived is all a major part of your life as a young woman. And it's like you need someone to say like, hey, look, this is an important enough conversation to have throughout your entire life, and not just if you happen to show interest in it.
Exactly. If we can get this knowledge to anyone and help them in any of their growth, any aspects of their life, like that is the goal. And I think I can speak for myself, but if I had known even half of what I know today at a young age, then I wouldn't have been in the abusive relationships that I was.
Oh, without a doubt, me too.
So like that's where the passion lies. Like I think education is everything. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And this is a free resource for like anyone listening, but it's also fun and relatable. Like
exactly.
It's not like it's health class where it's super awkward and like we're just talking in technical terms. It's like, no, well, we can talk about logistics. We can talk facts.
We can share whatever we want.
But then we can actually say like how it relates to life and like what we've genuinely experienced with it. And I'm just hoping that relates to like that's what I want to bring people. Why can't I talk? I want that to bring people to us.
Yes, I agree. something I live by, something I've said a million times, will say a million times more in season 2, is you don't know better until you know better.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, we're here to help you know better. Like, you
Yeah.
shouldn't have to learn all of your lessons the hard way in order to not have, you know, whatever it is happen to you.
Exactly. It's like big sister vibes.
Yeah.
Honestly. That's kind of how I feel with you.
That is how I feel about you. I mean, you have a sister. I don't have any
do.
siblings, so
So I, like...
you are my big sister.
Oh my god, that makes me want to cry. No, yeah, I'm always like, I'll talk about my sister on here a decent amount.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you don't get it. Like, you don't have a sister. I'm like, yeah, like, she kicked me in the face. And I'm like, but we're fine.
But we're great.
She's like, yeah, I don't get that. I want to talk about, like, how we found each other, though.
Okay.
I feel like... I'll start. Do you want me to start? Do you want to start?
I'll start.
Okay.
So I was in an abusive relationship my freshman year of college. That took a lot of reflecting to kind of figure out that that's what had happened to me. But I understood, like, okay, I've been through something actually awful. And then about 2 years later, I was looking for an internship, and I was with my advisor, and I had interest in just, like, social issues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had taken an environmental studies class. I cared about the earth. I cared about the people on it. I wanted to help people. I was interested in women's issues. And I was like, I want some sort of social advocacy role. I'm especially interested in women, though. And my advisor, she says, we have an alum. She runs a business. She educates in schools about, like, sexual abuse and domestic violence. And I was like, send me her email. And like, a pattern I've followed when I've wanted something is I will not reach out or apply anywhere else. I will reach out to someone and I'm like, this is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Let's set it up. And I reached out to Mya, who was the lovely lady with the business, and it just like clicked instantly.
It
And,
did.
you know, I was like, this is exactly the space I want to be in. I think I had what she needed in just, like, help and growing her business. And my internship ended, but I stayed, and now we're in it for the long run together.
I just want to say, I received plenty of applications for interns, and Kay sent in... did I ask for it? I think I asked for a piece, or maybe you sent it with it in the beginning. I don't know. But either way, she sends me a poem that she wrote that was published. And literally, I didn't even need to look at her resume. Like, I didn't even need to read the email she sent me. I actually read that poem and was like, yep, this is it. Like, I need to know this girl. And it was talking about her story, and it just reminded me of a poem that I had written, but honestly, you're crying. You're crying already. It's episode 1 of season 2. We're crying.
Overwhelmed.
No, it was beautiful, and it reminded me of me, and I was like, you know what? And I'm a sucker for, like, when I have interns, you're not just an intern to me. Like, I want you coming on because you are passionate about social justice, fighting the good fight, and, like, being really passionate about that and getting, like, what you want out of it. I've had plenty of, like, I don't want to say shitty internships because I grew a lot from them, but I was in situations where, like, I was just given busy work, or I was like, this is kind of, like, not fair, and I could be doing so much more. So when interns come on, I say, okay, what do you want to do? Give me 3 goals, and we're going to get it done in this semester, and you can put it on your resume. Yeah. And, like, there you go. So we sat down together, day 1?
Yeah.
And she's like, you need a podcast. I think you should do a podcast. And I'm like...
And she said, I can't do that. Will you do it with me? And I said, yeah, I'll do it with you.
Yeah, and, like, it was something that's always in mind. Like, I feel like any business, like, you're thinking of all the socials.
Yeah.
What can I do? And, yeah, I was like, okay, like, let's frickin' do it. Because it's your goal. Like, it's your goal. We're gonna do it. And then we started going, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is getting hard for me. Of, like... boundaries. You're my intern, and then, like, we're sharing this and that, but also it's like it was all for the same point of everything we were saying.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't sit down and do this authentically without sharing my story and or listening to hers. And most interns that I have their own story. Like, people are coming for a reason. And yeah, then we were just like, okay. So she stayed for the whole internship, kept it profesh, and then at the end of it, all I was thinking was, okay, how am I gonna, like, we have to continue. So we had like a major transition of now we're friends. And that was like so weird for me. And I'm like, okay, like I have to remember, like, things can be casual now. And, like, we can text, like we can do all the things. And I think we've just grown so much together, and also like it's really cool to see you grow professionally. It is big sister vibes.
Yeah, we made the transition of, I thought of you like, oh, Maya's my boss and going into work, and then we made our transition into friends. But I think, and obviously I think we will always be friends, but I think for any time anyone asks what you are to me, you will be my mentor. Like, first and foremost, I will be like, she's the one that taught me what I know. She put me in the position I'm in. She showed me, like, girl, you want it, go get it. And, like, I will always look up to you in that sense, even though we're friends.
Thank you. Yeah, me tearing up now. I think it's so important to have mentors, especially as women. Like, we need that. You need that. And I mean, we really do. We live in a man's world, and it's like the more people you have in your corner, the more people, like you said, like, you don't know until you know, but there are some things that you can know.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to go through things rough and tough if you have someone in your corner to, like, guide the way and or just give you the inspiration of, like you said, like, go get it. Like, you can do whatever
just to
you
have your
want to do.
back.
Yeah. And I do think that is, like, a big strength of ours, or, like, a core part of our relationship, which is really cool. So I do want to say, in season 1...
Well, no. I was your intern. I shared how I got here. How did you start your business?
Oh my god, okay. Long story.
Short form, just...
Okay, short form. Should I go, like, way back again? Or should I just say, okay, when I was in high school, I was in an abusive relationship. I'm gonna give, like, just a little bit. We'll get into the dirty deets later. Okay, I was in a relationship. He was, like, 4 years older than me, but I was 14, so, like, at that point, that's gross.
Extremely young.
Like, looking back on it, in the moment, you're like, ooh, cool older guy, whatever. And then when I look now, I'm like, that is just so disgusting. Yeah. Like, me at 14, fresh out of middle school, the heck do I know about anything? Nothing. I know nothing. It got pretty bad, so that was... I experienced multiple forms of abuse in that. Not physical abuse. And it was very confusing for me at the time, because I didn't know what an unhealthy relationship was, an abusive relationship was. I think it's really hard to have, like, detailed example. Like, you could see a healthy relationship. Like, I could look at my parents and be like, they love each other, they do great things for each other, but I'm not seeing, like, how they fight or, like, have sex, like, oh, that's disgusting. But I'm like, you don't see that kind of thing. And honestly, like, my health class wasn't teaching me anything.
No. Like,
I wasn't learning this anywhere. No one was talking about it anywhere. That's also, like, why this is why I do what I do. So super confusing. I was just always told this is how it's supposed to be. And that was the coercion, I guess, that, like, I was experiencing. It was just always, no, you're supposed to do this. You have to do this.
So that's him telling you how it was supposed to be.
Yes. Yeah. He was always just saying, no, you have to do this. And, like, that's what makes a good relationship. And I was very young, so I was naive and I was very manipulated. And I did not see that for a long time. I don't know. We were dating for probably, like, a year. It was, like, my whole freshman year of high school. And things would happen in school as well, which I can talk about later, but very obvious things that when I do look back, I do feel resentment towards a lot of the adults that were in my life that witnessed these things. I used to feel resentment towards my friends, and we never talked about it until recent years. But then again, with years of being past it and the knowledge I have now, it's like I don't hold resentment there because they did not know better as I didn't know.
Yeah.
But adults should have. And then back to my parents, they were the ones that got me out of the relationship. But that was like, I didn't want to be out of it because I did not understand. And I still didn't have this like sit down conversation of like, these are the things wrong. It was more just like, this is a bad guy.
Yeah.
Or like, he's bad for you. And I'm like, well, like, I like the bad boys. Like,
Yeah.
and anyways, then I ended up joining this group. It was called Mentors in Violence Prevention. It was a part of a local crisis center, and I think they have it like all over the country. Specifically in schools is the one that like I'm aware of, but essentially it was just this group of student leaders, and you learned about healthy, unhealthy relationships, how to be an active bystander, just like make your community safer, essentially. This was not a support group. This was not somewhere where you went in and said, like, I was in an abusive relationship. Nothing like that. I started writing about my experiences. I've always been very into, like, the arts. I love crafting, journaling, writing. That's gotten away from me in the last couple of years, but Kay loves to write. And that was, like, what really brought, like, when she came to me, I was like, oh, like, I need to get back into this. Like, that's where, like, my soul is. Anyway, I write this poem that I was just talking about, and it was my experience in this relationship. It was from like third point of view. It was just like short, sweet, sad enough. And I wrote that in class. So I believe one of my teachers gave this, probably like the counselor in my school, or I don't know, they must have been talking about it. They were like, this girl needs to be a part of this group. She's not okay.
Get her in there.
She's not okay. So I joined this group, and that was my, like, we talk about oh shit moments. Like, oh shit, I'm in an abusive relationship. That was my oh shit moment. And that's where I learned, like, okay, this is really not okay. And that was when I really started to, like, I actually don't even want, this is not when I healed. This is not when I healed at all, but this is when I started to come to terms with, like, I should not be with this person.
Yeah.
And my parents and everyone, the adults at this point, I'm like, they were right to get me out of that, but I still wasn't comprehending that it was abusive, because abuse is a scary word. And, like, that's, again, we're here to normalize using these words. It is what it is. And we're going to get through that. And I did get through that. So basically this poem ends up being sent to that local crisis center that I was talking about. The program was through, and they were like, hey, do you want to be our survivor, like, guest speaker at this big event? And it was called the White Ribbon Breakfast. And I was like, yeah, sure, like, okay, whatever. They're like, the group will be there, like, you won't be alone. I was like, all right, like, let's give it a go. And I wasn't even, like, very nervous, just because my family was not involved in this process. My friends were not involved. Like, I was just going in this separate group. Like, it felt like I was in, like, a sport that my friends didn't play. Yeah. I don't know. Like, it was just like, oh, I have this other group.
It's just something you're doing.
Yes, exactly. And then I did that, and I remember getting up there, and I was, like, literally shaking, and I was like, oh my God, like, it was a room full of wealthy, wealthy people that were going to donate money to this organization and other organizations, I believe, all helping survivors. So I was up there. I remember just, I was scared, but it felt really good. Like, I was like, wow, I'm up there. I'm saying it. Like, this actually happened to me. And then I remember everyone was like, wow, like, this was, like, the most donations we've ever gotten. Like, this was so amazing. I feel like I always am like, is this like a dream? Sometimes I forget. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
But people were like, I remember, like, Robert Kraft donated, or, like, big names donated. And I was like, that's so cool. I had no idea who he was. Anyway, after that, it went so well that they were like, why don't you keep speaking for us at these things called vision parties? And then I started going to them just, like, sporadically throughout the next couple of years. So this went into my college experience at this point. And every time I'd go, I was just like literally just speaking to a room full of wealthy adults. Like, there weren't kids there. There wasn't anyone else. So I'm thinking, like, this is an anomaly. I'm that one kid that, of course, experienced this. And, like, why me?
Yeah.
You know? Then, one day they were like, let's take you to a school. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that one. Like, that scares me.
Yeah.
Mind you, this makes me sound like so confident, and at that point in my life, like, I couldn't even present to a class without taking like an anxiety pill. And I did not speak until like 5th grade. Like, I didn't talk to people. So just to put that out there, I was not always like this brave soul. This was really scary for me. So then I go to this school. It's like a few towns over. It's in another state. I didn't know anyone, so that was a relief for me. And after I present, I share my story. This time I get to add education to it too. So instead of I used to literally just read my poem.
Yeah.
That was it. Like, I'd walk on, walk off. Everyone else did the talking. It was easy. And then this time they're like, well, why don't you share a little bit of like education on healthy and unhealthy relationships? And I was like, okay, yeah, like I could do that. Afterwards, I had probably like 50 students want to talk to me. And they were like, I didn't know others experienced this. I was so scared to share my own story. Now I want to share it. Or, oh shit, I'm in an abusive relationship and I didn't know. And just a lot of like, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like, this was eye-opening. This really helped me. So that was my moment of, okay, it's not just me, and my story can help other people.
There's a need for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was exactly it. I was just thinking, okay, I can do something with this. So fast forward. I end up going to college for psychology, creative arts therapy. I've always wanted to be a therapist. I will be a therapist in 1 year. I love to just like add that in there.
She's coming.
I'm coming. I'm on the way. Watch out. Anyways, yeah, so then I ended up getting my MBA after instead of going straight for that degree, because I was just thinking, like, I really want to do something with this. And no one believed in me. All of the male professors I had were like, public speaking is not lucrative, and you're better off just going and working, like, in whatever business. Like, it's hard to make it, especially as a young woman. Like, no one's going to take you seriously. And I was like, okay, bitch, watch. And that's literally what I did. So, yeah, now I have this business. Like I said, we educate on, help prevent dating violence and sexual assault. But it's really just all about normalizing the conversations. And, like, I get pretty into it. Like, we're learning things from unhealthy versus unhealthy, to rape kits, to bystander, to self-love, the healing journey. Like, we really talk about it all. Yeah. So when you came to me, it was like, this is a perfect fit.
I feel like that too.
And here we are.
Here we are.
I feel like, and so that, okay, can I say it now?
Sure.
Season 1.
Yes.
We did not use code names.
No, we shared a lot, but we said this person, this person, this person.
And it probably got confusing.
Yeah.
So now we need to, again, rewind. And I need to get out my phone for this. Because I have a few people. So there are a few men in my history.
A few.
That I talk about because it's very relevant. So the one that I was just referencing, the OG abuser. We're calling him G-Eazy. Alright? Which, did G-Eazy have allegations of sexual assault or anything?
He cheated on Halsey.
That was an abusive relationship, wasn't it?
Was it?
It was toxic, for sure.
We'll do some research and come back to you
We'll do
next
some
week.
research. But I think it was. And honestly, like, he low-key looks like him. And it was like one of those things where, okay, there's gotta be people, there has to be people out there. There has to be other people out there. When we would, like, fight or be like not talking, just like once a
Sorry.
week. He would send like G-Eazy songs and lyrics. It would be one of those things where like, I mean, at the time, like Twitter was huge. Huge. No, like people would like tweet stuff at school and you would like, you know, like you would see it and like you'd know what's up, you know who's fighting, and I don't know. So he would like tweet lyrics and things that were like subliminal messaging to me. You know what I'm saying?
Strictly from G-Eazy.
It was like G-Eazy, Hoodie Allen, Cam Meekins. Do you even know these people? There has to be other people out there that went through that kind of phase. But they were like moody. Like, I don't know how to describe it. But that's a core memory for me.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be G-Eazy. Okay. Should I keep going?
Oh yeah, I'm in it for the long haul with yours.
Okay. Again, I'm not gonna get into this further detail right now, but I did what I call toxic cycling. So my definition of this, and I don't even know if this is like a true term. I think I need to like trademark this.
You should. We have an episode on that.
I know.
Refer back to season 1.
Refer back. I think we're gonna end up like redoing a lot of them in like this form.
Yeah.
So, okay, toxic cycling is when you're with your like toxic partner, your abusive partner, whatever it is. I also interchangeably use toxic, unhealthy, and abusive on this podcast, but like bottom line, most of the relationships I'm talking about were abusive. It's when you go back to your toxic partner, like you break up, make up, or you continue to just be with toxic people. So like you break up with that person, but then you just get into another relationship that's equally as toxic. You
seek that pattern even after you move on from the individual.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it because it's like there's something happening in your brain.
Do you remember when we did that episode and I was like, no, I don't think I've ever done this, and then we talked about it and I was like,
yes,
wait, I think I've done this.
I think like anyone that's like dated a lot,
yeah,
you've probably done something similar.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's just obviously awful because if you continue to go back to like toxic and abusive relationships, you're just furthering all of those mental health effects you're getting.
Yeah.
Like, just adding a little more. Just yeah. Okay. So basically, I did not heal from G-Eazy.
She said on to the next.
I said on to the next. Then we go to my next relationship. We're gonna call him Red Flag Ronnie. Fucking Ronnie. Okay, Ronnie.
For any of our Jersey Shore fans out there, think about
Literally think about Ron.
Yeah, it's basically that.
Yes. It was a little over 2 years. That was probably the worst for me.
The signs were all there.
All the red flags were waving. And I ignored them.
She walked right in. She walked right past them.
I did. I invited them. Then, let's see. A few months after that, I think. I gotta remember. I don't know. Mr. Nice Guy comes into my life. I can't wait for you to hear this story later on. Everyone's gonna get a kick. I said I love you within the first week. I was gaslit. I was love bombed. Like, you wouldn't believe.
No, I believe.
For the audience that, hasn't. Then, let's see, when was this? Okay, this boy, he's in the mix, alright? He's, like, in between almost all of these people.
He's a special guest. He just appears from time to time. He
pops in, he pops out. We call him the boy next door. As he was, and you'll find out why later. We also have one more. He also pops in and out. He's a good one. Captain America. He swoops in.
Saves the day.
He wants to save the day. He does save the day a few times. But he wants to, like, stay and be the savior forever with me, and I just couldn't get there.
Oh.
A heartbreak story for another day.
Poor thing. Poor Captain America.
Poor Captain America. Like, honestly, God bless Captain America. Like, he's a sweetie. Always has been, always will be. I think.
Should we come up with current partner names? Is that
You're really putting me on the spot
I'm so sorry.
here.
Is that like a miss on our part?
It was a miss on our part.
We do say our current partner.
We just say our
or
current
boyfriend
partner.
or yeah.
My
So,
boyfriend.
yeah.
That's his code name.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
I can't come
Your
up with...
boyfriend.
I'll just say my boyfriend. You say my boyfriend.
So, for reference, whenever any of these men, even Captain America, are referred to, none of them are the current partner. These are all in the past, been there, done that, moved on.
I feel like that'd be almost like rude. You know?
Yeah, to give the boyfriends a code name.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I couldn't.
I can't, because we're thinking of like...
These are like old characters.
Yeah.
But, you know, you said he was in it for the long term. I just didn't want anyone to think, maybe he succeeded.
He didn't say, no, he just wanted it to be for the long term, and like,
You didn't, it wasn't the long term you saw.
No.
That's okay.
Okay.
Okay. I have 3 for you. We have the first high school boyfriend.
Yes.
Who appeared for a very short amount of time. Handsy McGee.
Handsy McGee.
He was handsy. I don't know what else to say. He
wanted it all.
And he couldn't have it all. He was the worst. Short-lived. Moving on. We have Mr. High School. Now, I guess this was Mr. from when I was in high school because he was in college when I met him, so...
Oh.
Mr. High School might be like a bad name, but he was my Mr. from high school. This was the main event of my high school dating life. I was in love with this man.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was.
We all thought we were.
We all loved everything about him. He was so great. Not really. Couldn't commit. And then I was just like, you know what? I can't do this forever. It was never a boyfriend. It was like a 1.5, 2 year situationship. And
that's like a long situationship.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Like said I love you, like wanted to get married, like you are going to be my wife one day, but why can't I be your girlfriend right now?
Right.
Like, I just can't.
And
right now. Like,
those
it's too
are
complicated.
The worst types of situationships.
Oh yeah.
Like you're dating.
Like it was full on dating. But you know, I was in high school and he was in a frat, so
the things we didn't know. What
did I expect?
Yeah.
The world, obviously. So I'm in love with Mr. High School still. Or what I think is in love with Mr. High School when I go to college. And then I meet George Bush.
George Bush.
George Bush is the trauma main event. He is
the main event.
Yeah. If we're talking about abuse, it's George Bush.
Yeah.
That restraining order against him.
Yeah. Give them a glimpse.
A glimpse of
that relationship. Just a little something.
He sold me the dream. Was like, this man, Mr. High School, he's not treating you well. You deserve attention, commitment. You're so perfect. And I was like, okay. So I fell for that. And then he was everywhere all the time. My friends, his friends, couldn't do anything by himself. Couldn't eat dinner unless I was eating dinner. I couldn't do homework. I couldn't live my life. And then I was like, you suck. I hate you.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to get out. So, you know, I obviously waited for him to hit me because that seemed like the only logical, like, I need an excuse to get out of this relationship. I hope he swings soon. He never did.
It's so fucked up.
It really is. But I thought I didn't see anything wrong with it except for the fact that I was like, I don't like you as a person.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't feel like I could walk away. So I was like, let me wait for you to do something terrible enough that makes me feel like I can leave.
And that's like, I feel like just pause PSA.
Don't do that. That is wrong.
You don't need to be hit to be in an abusive relationship and or to leave one.
I did learn that later, and I'm sure we'll revisit Mr. President George Bush.
We're going to revisit all these people.
And then I finally couldn't take it, was sick of him, ended things, and then he was like, okay, I'm going to kick it up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see crazy, I'll show you crazy. The name George Bush comes from sorry, this little TikTok trend.
No.
That was popular, I guess 4 years ago now. 4 years ago.
That's crazy.
Hey, look over there. It's George. Shoves you into a bush and then says, George Bush. So he pushed me into bushes constantly.
But what kind of bushes?
Sometimes it was like a hedge. Like sometimes it was like a pretty tall hedge that, you know, pointy sticks, but you know, whatever. One time it was this teeny tiny bush in just like a huge patch of dirt. So it was dirt. I was pushed into the dirt. I fell into the dirt. George Bush. So that's where he gets his lovely name from. And yeah. The main event.
That was a perfect example of us laughing when it's completely not okay.
That's fucked up. Don't let anyone push you into a bush or the dirt or anything.
No, nothing.
No. Don't wait for someone to hit you. That's not funny either. Because he was abusive with his words.
I feel like that's what we talk about probably the most out of anything is verbal abuse.
Yeah.
Because it can be so sly.
It can. And, I mean, so manipulative. We talked about gaslighting, love bombing. I mean, those were all the forms of abuse I saw in that relationship. And very subtle forms of physical abuse. Like, oh, it's just a joke. George Bush, whatever. Like, no one's gonna tell you, hey, you just got physically abused.
Right.
And especially the person that did it is gonna say, no, I was just joking.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the stigma that, oh, if he's not hitting you, it's not abusive. And, you know, that's what I went through that entire relationship with the mindset of. It never crossed my mind once that this man was screaming and getting drunk and calling me names and, you know, saying all these horrible things. Never once did it cross my mind that could be titled as abusive or that it actually was.
Right. It's like, oh, we're just fighting and, like, the fighting sucks. Like, that's the mindset. I also had things thrown at the wall next to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, but I wasn't aiming for you.
I didn't hit you. I didn't throw something at you.
Like, they're all tactics and they're power moves, which we can, like, so dive into.
Yeah, I think when I learned that abuse is a consistent pattern in which someone asserts clear dominance and power over someone else to make them fearful, I was, like, in shock. Because you think about it that way, and it's like, holy shit, there's so many ways to do that. And it's like, they can walk all over you with most of them, and that is exactly what put us here in the first place, to say, like, hey, look, these are all the ways that no one recognizes.
Right. No, it's so true, and I'm so glad you said that. I think this was a perfect just intro to today, the things we talk about. We get so deep into every topic we talk about, like whether it is gaslighting, manipulation, the power wheel of abuse, like we'll talk about it all. But I feel like this was a great start and base for you to understand. Like,
and we want to hear from you guys too. Like,
I'm so glad you said that.
Thank you. We love taking write-ins. We still always look for them. But even if it's not about, like, personal experience, we'd love to know what you guys want to hear. I mean, we were going back and forth about, we have probably some new listeners and some returning listeners. Do we sit down and do we go into our stories in depth? Is that something people want to hear? So definitely just let us know.
Let us know. Well, now you can comment. You can comment here on YouTube. You can also comment on Spotify and Apple, I think. Definitely follow us on Instagram.
DM us.
Yeah. What's our Instagram? Dear MK Podcast.
Dear MK Podcast.
Dear MK Podcast on Instagram, because there...
Dear MK Podcast. I'm so sorry.
No, thank you. We just made it. I'm like, I can't remember anything. Well, we'll post on their stories. So we'll say, like, what do you want to hear from us? Or tell us your story. Or here's, like, a poll. And you can also call in. And that's going to be linked everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, in every episode that we post, there's going to be a link at the bottom. And that link tree will make sure you can comment. You can write in. You can call in. Like, we can share your story on here. and keep you anonymous. And also, if you want to be a guest, please
Let us
DM
know.
us. Yeah, we welcome that. We really, really want that. We want to continue to hear so many different perspectives other than ours. I think it just makes our community stronger and like more connected.
And our whole point in the beginning was we want to have these conversations that everybody needs. I mean, we'd be just stupid to sit here and think the stuff we think of are the only conversations that need to be had. We want to hear what you guys want to hear. We know a lot, but not everything. So we want to hear what everyone else has to say. Everyone else wants to hear from us. Everyone else wants to share through a platform or a voice that maybe they don't want to use their own for. So
yeah, exactly. So if you like this, please follow us. Please subscribe and then follow us, and please give us a 5-star review.
We love you.
We love you. Bye.
Bye. Cheers. We did it.
I know. That was so much better than the first time.
I hope I can hear it on this.
Till next time. XOXO MK.